Bob Marley and the Wailers were on the verge of making history until they got kicked off a tour. But was it really because of slow tempos and accents? Or was there something much bigger at play? Was Sly Stone intimidated by Marley's rising star? Or was reggae just too raw for American audiences? The truth behind this shocking fallout is deeper than you think. Stick around, because this is the untold story of how Bob Marley's career almost took a completely different path. In the early 1970s, Bob Marley and the Wailers were on the brink of international recognition, eager to introduce reggae to a broader audience. Their opportunity came in 1973 when they secured a spot as an opening act for Sly and the Family Stone, one of the most celebrated funk bands of the era. At first glance, this pairing seemed like a fusion of two revolutionary sounds, reggae and funk, both rooted in messages of resistance, unity, and social change. However, cultural and musical differences quickly led to an abrupt split, altering the course of the tour and leaving the Wailers at crossroads. Sly Stone later reflected on the decision to remove the Wailers from the tour, citing a lack of connection with American audiences. He believed that the band's slow tempos and strong Jamaican accents created a barrier, making it difficult for concertgoers to engage with their music. They played slow, and they had accents. That's all there was to it. No hard feelings. We just sent them off, Stone bluntly stated. His words dismissed any speculation that the Wailers had overshadowed his band. Yet, others in the industry viewed the situation differently. Joe Higgs, a mentor and temporary replacement for Bunny Wailer on the tour, questioned whether Marley's presence had posed a threat to Sly's dominance. In the 2017 biography, So Much Things to Say, Higgs recalled how many concertgoers felt disconnected from the Wailers' sound and appearance. Some even criticized their clothing choices, branding them as rebels. A drummer from another act on the tour reportedly turned to a member of Sly's band and asked, "Where are those guys from? They look like they stepped out of the Old Testament." This reaction underscored the deep cultural divide the Wailers faced as they tried to break into the U.S. market. At the time, the Wailers had only released Catch a Fire, their debut album on Island Records, making them relative unknowns outside of reggae circles. Their ambition was to use the tour with Sly and the Family Stone as a launching pad, but they were up against an audience unfamiliar with their sound. Sly's band, on the other hand, was at the peak of their success, with their album There's a Riot Going On reaching #1 on the Billboard charts in 1971, followed by Fresh, which landed at #7 in 1973. The commercial disparity between the two groups added to the challenges the Wailers faced. Their first performance on the tour, held in a Las Vegas hockey arena, exposed the stark contrast in expectations. Many ticket holders had mistakenly assumed they were about to see the Fabulous Wailers, a rock instrumental band known for their hit Tall Cool One. Instead, they were met with Bob Marley's soul-stirring rendition of Concrete Jungle, a song infused with the harsh realities of life in Jamaica. Behind the scenes, the departure of Bunny Wailer added another layer of instability to the group. In his absence, Joe Higgs stepped in, bringing invaluable experience, but tensions still simmered between Marley and Peter Tosh. These internal frictions, combined with a lukewarm audience reception, made it difficult for the Wailers to gain traction. After only a few performances, Sly and the Family Stone decided to cut the Wailers from the tour. With no remaining gigs lined up, Marley and his band suddenly found themselves stranded in the U.S., forced to reassess their path forward. According to Joe Higgs, as recounted in Roger Steffen's So Many Things to Say, the Wailers managed to perform only 5 shows on their ill-fated U.S. tour with Sly and the Family Stone. Their itinerary included stops in Tampa, Lexington, Kentucky, and Denver, before their journey was abruptly cut short after a show in Las Vegas. Left with nothing but their belongings and a dismissal notice, the Wailers were suddenly without a stage. In Catch a Fire, Stephen White quotes Sly and the Family Stone's manager, who suggested that Sly felt overshadowed by the growing attention the Wailers were receiving. This, he claimed, led to their removal from the tour. However, available evidence suggests a more complex reality. Higgs himself noted that the band struggled to connect with American audiences. At the time, Sly and the Family Stone were the dominant act, and reggae had yet to gain traction in the US music scene. The Wailers just weren't what people came to hear. Higgs reflected in So Much Things to Say. The band, featuring Peter Tosh on vocals and lead guitar, Aston Barrett on bass, Earl Waya Lindo on keyboards, and Higgs handling vocals and percussion, delivered a set of 5 vibrant, percussion-driven tracks. While the exact set list remains undocumented, it likely included Get Up, Stand Up from their upcoming album Burnin', set for release just days later. Yet, their performance failed to win over the crowd. The only significant applause they received was at the end of their final song. Meanwhile, Sly and the Family Stone's reputation for electrifying performances was met with chaos at this particular show. After an hour-long delay, Sly and his band finally emerged, but the atmosphere was tense. Soon after this turbulent performance, Sly made the controversial decision to drop the Wailers from the tour. It would be 3 more years before the Wailers returned to Washington, performing on April 26, 1976, at Georgetown University's McDonough Arena. This time, they commanded a passionate crowd of over 4,000, delivering an electrifying 75-minute set featuring classics like Trenchtown Rock and I Shot the Sheriff. However, their U.S. journey faced another obstacle in 1980 when a planned concert at the University of Maryland's Coalfield House was canceled due to Bob Marley's deteriorating health. Despite selling 10,000 tickets, the show never took place. Tragically, Marley passed away in May 1981 at just 36, leaving behind a musical legacy that would influence generations to come. On the other side of the story, Sly and the Family Stone faced their own challenges despite their meteoric rise. Internal tensions, particularly between the Stone brothers and bassist Larry Graham, began to fracture the group. Throughout the 1970s, Sly's increasingly erratic behavior, fueled by substance abuse, led to missed performances and frequent no-shows. Concert riots became a recurring issue as disappointed fans reacted to last-minute cancellations or Sly's abrupt departures mid-performance. By January 1975, the band booked a show at the prestigious Radio City Music Hall. However, the venue was nearly empty, with only a fraction of seats occupied. Struggling financially, the band barely managed to cover their travel costs. Following this failed engagement, Sly and the Family Stone officially disbanded. From rejection to revolution, Bob Marley and the Wailers turned a devastating setback into a global movement. But what if they had never been dropped from the tour? Would reggae have taken longer to reach the world stage? One thing is certain: Marley didn't just overcome obstacles, he transformed them into stepping stones. His music still echoes across generations. But this moment in history reminds us that even legends face rejection before they rise. Let me know in the comments, was Sly intimidated, or was the Wailers sound just ahead of its time? And don't forget to like and subscribe for more untold music stories.